Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy. I know it's been a while since the last time that I filmed a video in English, so here I am. But before everything, just some bad news to share. I have another 2 canker sores in my mouth right now. It does hurt a little bit when I talk, so please excuse me if I'm not speaking too well today. So I went on a live discussion the other day that was hosted by my school, Smith School of Business. That's where I'm taking my graduate studies from. They invited a few panelists to talk about how coronavirus will impact the global economy. I found it quite meaningful and interesting. Therefore, I just want to share with you guys some of my takeaways from that discussion. If you're interested in knowing more on this topic, please continue to watch and feel free to stick around. First of all, I am just gonna show you guys one of my stock holdings. This has been one of my best performing stocks in the past few years, but as you can probably see, I have lost almost 70% of the value in just about 3 weeks of time, and I know I am not alone. Lots of things were going on in the past few weeks. Crude and oil price experienced the worst one-day crash after the implosion of an alliance between OPEC and Russia. Together with the escalation of the coronavirus spread, things were just getting worse and worse. Huge panic selling, bleeding stock market, everything was just a disaster. Actually, the stock market has got slightly better in the past 2 days, mainly because of a stimulus package that was going to be sent out by the White House. But we will see what's gonna happen the next. Aside from the bear market, there are actually more things that will be impacted or have already been impacted due to the pandemic. And the first thing I would like to mention is a change in consumption habits. Consumers are likely to cancel or reduce their travel plans, delay large expenditures, and avoid going out to business settings that involves groups, such as group fitness classes, bars and restaurants. We were likely to see a lot of the online shopping and possibly increased consumption of in-home entertainment. And I guess that's also the reason why a lot of people were saying that it's great time to buying some Netflix now. I mean, that's exactly what I do at home every day. And since consumption is highly related to production, if no one consumes, no one will produce. Together with the stringent policies imposed by the government right now, speaking of Canada, we see that a lot of the restaurants, shopping malls, and entertainment centers are temporarily closing down. We don't know when is that gonna be recovered, but what we know is if closures continue, it's going to hurt the GDP because consumption is an integral part of a nation's GDP. But on top of that, essentially, it's going to give those businesses a huge hit since a lot of them are losing their major source of cash flow. And if the situation continues to act in this way, some of them will eventually not be able to pay off their debt and just gonna go bankrupted. And from banks' perspective, this whole thing is bringing in risks for banks as well. For instance, for the commercial banking group, or to a larger scale for the corporate banking group, if businesses do go bankrupted, the banks will have a very hard time to collect their money back. The discussion that I participated in also spoke a lot from human capital's perspective. Yes, there will be an increase in the unemployment rate. For people who have an office job that have the privilege to work from home, they are lucky. However, there are tons of other people whose job nature simply does not allow them to work from home. Industries that's facing severe supply chain disruption, for instance, the automobile industry, where their manufacturing process is interrupted. The automakers are laying off their frontline workers inevitably. The pandemic has also devastated the entire hospitality industry since governments restricted travel and urged people to stay at home as much as possible. Hundreds of hotels have shut down temporarily and laid off their workers. An authority from Hotel Association of Canada expects that most of the hotels will close before the pandemic ends, meaning that between 200 to 250,000 of jobs could be lost. And we're only talking about Canada here. Same thing goes to the airline companies. Air Canada announced on Wednesday that it will gradually suspend its international flights by the end of March as countries around the world closing their borders to international travelers due to the pandemic. And I can already say that how bad Air Canada's stocks is doing right now. It is estimated that over 5,000 of flight attendants will be laid off. There is just one thing I would like to point out, is that laying off employees is not necessarily that the employers are not empathetic. A lot of times it's because the employers just don't have the cash flow to support. As of the day that I am filming this video, the total number of confirmed coronavirus cases has surged to 400,000. The situation is extremely severe in Italy, Spain, and the States. One of my favorite professors at Smith, his name is John Ekman. He also teaches at Rotman School of Management at University of Toronto, has actually written an article to talk about how COVID-19 is going to impact the global economy. He did his calculations, ran different scenarios, quoted from his research. In a worst scenario, the global economy may contract by more than 40% this year, and this will mean massive market drops, unprecedented unemployment, business closing, asset bubble bursting, and real changes to normal life. If any of you is interested in exploring more on this topic, be sure to check his article out. I found it very useful, and he's the expert. I am not the expert. I'm only delivering what other experts are talking about right now. Alright, I guess that is the end of my video today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching it. There is so much to talk about and it is impossible to cover everything. I have only picked up the aspects that I think are critical. Thank you guys so much for watching my video today. If you found this video somehow interesting and helpful, please be sure to give me a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys the next time. March, oops. And speaking from bank's perspective, what I'm gonna say?